Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and you're very welcome to this webinar on the new Suckler Carbon Efficiency Programme, so the SCEP programme. So first and foremost, so my name is David Buckley. I'm a Principal Officer here in the Direct Payments Division in Portlaoise. And I suppose our ultimate objective over the next hour and a half to hour and 40 minutes is to try to give you as much information as possible on the new SCEP programme so that you make as an informed decision yourself, or if you're in a partnership with your partners or whatever, as to whether you wish to sign up to the program or not. So to give you that full information, and we hope over the next hour and a half when you log off that we've hopefully successfully achieved that. So I'm joined, I'll be joined over the next hour and a half along with some of my own colleagues from the department, so from both Sharon O'Connor and Marie McNamara. So Sharon is going to do two presentations, one in terms of the terms and conditions of the scheme, the nuts and bolts, so to speak, of it. She'll then run through very quickly through the application process. So you as a farmer can apply for this yourself in your own right if you so wish, or you can go to an FAS approved advisor. Sharon will then hand over to Andrew Mahon from Bord Bia, and Andrew will go through the requirements that are the SBLAS program, which is one of the eligibility requirements to sign up for the program. And then Andrew will hand over to Chris Daly from ICBF. So this is a joint effort between the department, between Bord Bia and ICBF. So in total, those four presentations will go straight through them. There is a lot of information, and just to forewarn you, that'll take somewhere around 40 to 45 minutes or thereabouts, and then we'll go into the questions and we'll try to answer as many questions as we possibly can. So throughout the presentation, you can put your question into the questions tab and send it in to us, and we'll do our very best to answer as many of them as we can. Also, we will, within a matter of days, we'll be recording this webinar tonight. We will put that recording up onto the website along with all the slides. So there's no need for anyone, obviously we won't stop anyone taking notes or taking pictures of the screen if they so wish, but we will provide these to everyone. I suppose, so the program, just very briefly on the program. So the program itself is obviously the replacement for BDGP, which many farmers will be familiar with. So that was the Beef Data Genomics program. So the SCEP, it's a 256 million scheme. So it is a contract, it's a 5-year contract, very similar, so to speak, in terms of duration as the Acre scheme, if any farmers are in the Acre scheme. So this webinar that we're doing tonight, in conjunction, we're also doing 9 public meetings throughout the country. We have 5 already done over the past number of weeks. Maybe some of you have been at some of them, and we've another 4 to go over the next number of weeks. So we have Bantry on the 18th of April, Tralee on the 20th of April, Letterkenny on the 2nd of May, and Ballina on the 3rd of May. As it says on the screen in front of you, the scheme itself opened on the 20th of March, and it'll close on the 22nd of May of 2023. So probably without further ado, and just to get cracking, I'm going to hand over to my colleague Sharon, and Sharon, as I say, will do 2 presentations, one on the terms and conditions of the scheme, and then one on how you yourself, if you wish to apply for it yourself, how you can apply for it. So thank you. I hope you find it informative, and I'll hand over to Sharon.
Hello, my name is Sharon O'Connor. I work in beef schemes in Portlaoise, and I deal with SCEP. I'm just going to run through the terms and conditions first of all, and then I will run through the application process. So there is 4 eligibility requirements under SCEP. So the first one is you need to have a BIS application in every year, which you declare you're eligible for a hectare on your application form. Then you have to be a member of SBLAS Bord Bia by the 16th of October this year, and you need to have continued participation throughout the programme. The next eligibility requirement is that you must calve down a minimum of 50% of your reference number. I'll give you an example. If you have a reference number of 10, you must calve down 5. This is a minimum calving. It's not a ceiling. It's the minimum floor that you must meet in order to meet the requirement of calving down. Then you have to do a training course. It's run over two half days. The details are not there as of yet, but you will have to have it done by November of 2024. There's full details in the terms and conditions. Then we have some mandatory actions. The first one is the replacement strategy on the sires. There's a replacement strategy on the females. There's the genomics, weight recording, your data recording, and these are also in section 9 of the SCEP's terms and conditions. So the first mandatory action is the replacement strategy for the eligible bull, eligible AI. In each scheme year, applicants must ensure that of the calves produced each scheme year, at least 50% of the yearly reference number are eligible calves. In years 1 and 2, 80% of these calves must have been sired from a 4 or 5 star source. There is a derogation in year 1, but so if you don't meet it in year 1, you will not be penalised, but you must meet it from years 2 to 5. The requirement increases to 85% in years 3 and 4, and it's 90% in year 5. So I'll just give you an example there. If you have a yearly reference number of 10 and you calf down 5, you must have 4 from an eligible bull or an eligible AI. If you have a yearly reference of 10 and you calf down 10, you must have 8 from a 4 or 5 star source. And for an example, if you have a yearly reference of 10 and for some reason you calf down greater than the 10, say you calf down 20, you still only have to have the 8 because it's up to a maximum of your reference number. So these can be genotyped 4 or 5 star bull on either the terminal or replacement index at time of service, or from AI straws from a 4 or 5 star eligible bull on either the terminal or replacement index. There's the example that I actually just gave you. There's it will be on the slideshow. You can go to the next slide there, Maria, please. So the next mandatory action is the female replacement strategy. So applicants are required to ensure that on the 31st of October, at least 50% of the yearly reference number are eligible females that are genotyped 4 or 5 stars on the replacement index at time of purchase for replacements bought into the herd, or a time of genotyping for those replacements bred in the herd. So another example there, if you have a reference of 10 on the 31st of October 2023, you have to have 5 4 and 5 star females. This will increase to 65% on the 31st of October 2025, and it will increase to 75% on the 31st of October 2027. The next mandatory action is genotyping. So you must genotype 70% of your animals, of your yearly reference number each year. These will be rounded down to the nearest animal. They cannot be already genotyped, so they have to be genotyped without repetition. So an example then, if your yearly reference number in 2023 is 10, you must have 7 genomic animals, 7 tests done, 7 genomic tests done. If it was 15, you're required to have 10. Now, there's a change this year in BDGP. You could have sent them in whenever you wanted, but now you have to have them in on the 30th of November of each scheme year, by the 30th of November of each scheme year. So for scheme year 1, the animals are the 1st of July 22 to the 30th of June 23. Your genomic samples for these animals must be returned by the 30th of November 2023. So each applicant is liable for the cost of genomics in respect of their application. If an applicant returns more genomic samples than the required number, they'd be liable for the extra cost. This cost will be recovered as a deduction from your SCEP payment. So then if an applicant has an existing tagging supplier in place, this will be their default tagging supplier. If an applicant wishes to change their supplier, they must do so on the ICBF website. In the event of an applicant not having an existing supplier, they must select a supplier on the ICBF website. The next mandatory action is weight recording. So the weighing requirement of SCEP is the same as previously completed by applicants in BPS in previous years. Participants must weigh at least 80% of eligible animals born on the holding of the yearly reference number in each scheme year and their dams, and submit weights to ICBF. Full details are in the terms and conditions in section 9. So the calf must be a minimum of 50 days old before it's eligible to be weighed. It must be unweaned. Weights must be submitted within 7 days of weighing and no later than 5:30 on the 1st of November annually. So it's all the submission of weights and the procedures for weighing is all in the Annex 1 of the terms and conditions. And an example there again for scheme year 1, which is the animals born on the 1st of July 22 to the 30th of June 23, your weight must be submitted by the to ICBF by 5:30 on the 1st of November 23. No weights will be submitted after this time, so they will not count towards your payment. The next mandatory action is the data recording. So each year, applicants are required to complete survey forms supplied by the ICBF in respect of all eligible cows, calves and bulls on your holding and return these to the ICBF. So there's commitment 1 and commitment 2. And in commitment 1, it's the details for your calf sire, calf and ease, birth sire and calf figure. Commitment 2, there's a few new ones in it this year. There's calf quality, calf docility, dam docility, dam milkability, dam mothering ability, dam feet and legs, dam teeth score and dam udder score. Then there's the dam departure reason if the dam leaves the holding. So in order to ensure the fertility of the data recorded, all calves born on the holding must be maintained on the holding for at least 5 months. If you sell the calves before 5 months, it will affect your payment. You could be penalised for this. So just bear this in mind when you're selling your calves, hold them for at least 5 months. So closing date for the submission of the traits for commitment 1 and commitment 2 is the 15th of February annually. Data will not be accepted after this date. This is also a change. If anybody was in BDGP, you could have submitted the data whenever you wanted, but it now must be in by the 15th of February annually. So for the animals in scheme year 1, which is the animals the 1st of July 2022 to the 30th of June 2023, the data must be submitted by the 15th of February 2024, or it will not count for your payment if it's after this date. So also to do with the data recording, all farmers are required to tag and register all calves with the department's registration agency in Clonakilty within 27 days of birth. This is nothing new. This has to be done all the time with all the calves, but just it's a reminder to make sure you have them registered within 27 days of birth. So the training then, applicants must attend 2 SCEP training courses related to the programme. These are mandatory. It has to be done by the 15th of November 2024. The first one is to do with the terms and conditions, and the second course it's a half-day livestock handling course. Failure to attend the training course will result in removal from the programme, and any monies paid under the programme will be recouped. Here's just a reminder of the scheme years. So scheme year 1 is the 1st of July 2022 to the 30th of June 2023. Scheme year 2 is the animals born between the 1st of July 2023 to the 30th of June 2024. Scheme year 3 is the animals born between the 1st of July 2024 to the 30th of June 2025. Scheme year 4 is the animals born between the 1st of July 2025 to the 30th of June 2026. And scheme year 5 is the 1st of July 2026 to the 30th of June 2027. Now, I'll just go through some programme penalties here. So there is a detailed explanation of the programme requirement related penalties in section 13 of the terms and conditions. But if you fail any of the 4 eligibility requirements, so that's your BIS application, a member of SBLAS, to calve down at least 50% of your reference number, or the SCEP training in any of the years, you are removed from the programme and a full clawback of any SCEP monies received. And then if a farmer fails 3 or more of the actions 1, 2, 3 and 4 in any of the in one scheme year, they will be removed from the programme and any payments already made will be recouped. So there's 2 examples here. So ineligible bull, AI, eligible bull. So sorry, ineligible AI or ineligible bull. So you have to have less than 80% of the calves of the yearly reference number cited by a 4- and 5-star source in scheme year 2, no payment for the action plus an additional 20% penalty. So I'll just give you an example. If your payment is worth €1,000, each action will be worth €200 because there's 5 mandatory actions. So you wouldn't get paid €200. The action is worth €200, and you'd have an additional €40 because you'd have 20% of the action will be recovered in a penalty. And then the genomics, under 90% of required number, which is 70% of your yearly reference number genotyped in scheme year 2, no payment for the genomics for year the breach occurs plus an additional 20% penalty. So that's the terms and conditions. Now I will just run through the application process. It's an online application that must be completed online by either yourself or by an approved FOSS advisor. The closing date is actually the 22nd of May, so make sure you get your applications in before the 22nd of May. So I'll go through the screen. So on your Ag Food account, the Suckler Carbon Efficiency Programme has its own link. It's the 5th tab down here. So if you click in there, it'll bring you straight into your application. So at the top of the screen, your herd number, name, address, etc. will appear at the very top of the screen. In this case, no application has been submitted yet. So there'll be a message saying no applications were found. There's a green button that says new application. So you must click in there in order to create your application. So when you go into the screen, then your historical data will appear. So in this case, your historical data is all the eligible suckler cows that produced the calf on the holding between 2016 to 2021. So in this case, the 3 best years are highlighted, which is 2016 to 2018. You'll get an average of your best years. So if you add these up, they add up to 47. We'll divide it by 3. And your average here is 16. It is 15.66, but it gets rounded up in this case to 16. Then you have a max payable area. So your reference animals is divided by 1.5 to get your max payable area. So that is 10.67. So this is what your payment will be based on, this 10.67. We are a land-based payment. We don't pay in the animals, we pay on your land. So you must have enough eligible forage hectares on your BIS application to cover this 10.67 hectares. Then you have to set, so there is actually only 3 screens on the application process. So the first one is the historical data. Now the next screen is where you set your own program reference number and you have to set your yearly reference number. So in this case, the historical reference data, the average there was 16. So you can't go greater than the 16. You can go anywhere between 1 and 16. So you can reduce down from the 16, but you cannot go above the 16. So you need to set that here, and then you have to set the yearly reference number. So you can reduce your yearly reference number by 20% even in year 1. So you have to also set your yearly reference number. Now I'm just going to show you an example where you put in too much in your program reference. So in this, the applicant put in 20, but because it's greater than 16, an error message appears. Please enter a number between 1 and 16 inclusive. Then we have to set the yearly reference number. So in this case, the applicant reduced it by more than 20%. He put in 12. That's he gets an error message. Please enter a number greater than or equal to 80% of the program reference number between 13 and 16 inclusive. So now we have set the program reference number. In this case, we're going to set the program reference number at 16. We are also going to set the yearly reference number at 16. The MPA will then be populated at 10.67. So this is a full list now, which is in the terms and conditions of the eligible forage hectares that can be used to make up your max payable area. So the likes of clover, grass year 2, sugar beets, all these crops can go towards your eligible forage hectares on your BIS application. But you must have enough to meet your max payable area to get your full payment. And you also then have to meet the requirements of the programme as well. There's a full list of those forage crops in the terms and conditions. Now, I'll just give you an example of the payments. So the payments are based on, is calculated at €225 for the first 15 hectares of the payment, and the remaining, anything after 15 hectares, is at €180. So this example 1, is a farmer that has an annual reference of 11, is allocated a maximum payable area of 7.33. So in order to be paid in full, you must declare a minimum of 7.33 eligible forage hectares on the BIS application. So the full payment would be calculated at €225 because it's under the 15 hectares. Then example 2, a farmer with an annual reference of 35 is allocated a maximum payable area of 23.33. To be paid in full, you must declare a minimum of 23.33 hectares of eligible forage area on the BIS application. So the payment is calculated at €225 for the first 15 hectares, and the remaining 8.33 hectares is paid at €180 per hectare. Then the last page, so this is the third page on the application process, is the declaration screens. So in order to get the submit button, you must tick every one of these. So you have to read all these declarations and agree to them. So the first one then is, I have read, understand and agree to be bound by the Suckler Carbon Efficiency Programme SCEP. And in blue is terms and conditions. So you can click in there to read the terms and conditions if you want. But you must tick all of those boxes in order for the submit button to become available. You'll see at the bottom of this, it's not available at the moment because the buttons are not ticked. So now it becomes available. Once we tick all those boxes, it becomes available in green there. So you click on submit to submit the application. You will get a message once you submit it to say, once you submit your application, you will not be able to make any further changes. Are you sure all the information entered is correct? So if you're not happy with your information, you can click no, and you can go back through your application, have a look at your program reference number, your yearly reference number, just see you're happy with it. And then if you are happy, click yes. And once you submit your application, you will get a message to say your application has been submitted successfully. And that is the end of the application process.